Okay, so here's how it goes. Aliens may or may not be real, and they may or may not, if they were real, have been here. But the point is, whether they're real or not, or whether they're real and they've been here, or whether they've not been here, either way, we can't prove it. So if they are real, and they have been here, we can't prove it. There's no proof. There's no dead bodies. There's no blood. There's no DNA. No physical evidence to prove that they've been here.
Only personal sightings.
Only people saying they've seen spaceships, and there's nothing that we can say, here's a picture of an actual alien, here's the DNA proof, here's the dead head, the severed arm, fingers. Now, there's no physical proof that at least that nobody's released to the general public. I mean, if it's in some government facility somewhere that nobody wants people to know, obviously it's been put away. But if there is legitimate proof, we don't know about it.
Do you think that Area 51 is used for alien research?
I don't know what Area 51 is used for. I'm not in the government loop.
Okay.
Could it be used for that kind of? Yes.
But we don't have the proof.
But we don't have the proof.
Now,
is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? Yeah, maybe. Truth is, we don't know. At least I don't.
Now, things that could suggest aliens have been here before is stuff like in Indian civilizations, like down in the Aztecs, and even some in other countries, they've had drawings and stuff of spaceships dating back 12,000 BC, stuff in Egyptian time. There's also been places where there's flat ground on top of mountains, like ancient airplanes or ancient ships would have landed there. Yeah. There's also, I'm not exactly sure where it was.
Yeah.
But there's an area where there's a design that's been put into the ground.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how it got there, but if you're on the ground, it just looks like you don't have any idea what it is. It can only be seen from the air.
Yeah.
And it's distinct objects that people know and have seen before. And it hasn't been done by man because nobody has any idea where it came from.
Yeah, like you're talking about the crop circles?
No, not the crop circles. It's been here for thousands of years and nobody knows where it came from. It's never been recorded in the history books. And people only figured out what it was when people started going up in airplanes and saw it.
So, I don't have any idea on that.
And the thing about the crop circles, that's another thing that kind of suggests that maybe, because who's going to go around and do crop circles? Although I watched this video called Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
And it showed that there's people that say that, oh, that thing about the crop circles, oh no, aliens didn't do it, we did it, we just wanted to mess with them. And they actually went out and timed them because they said they just did it overnight, They went out and timed them and found that it was no way possible for them to do as much area as they've seen done.
Yeah, in the amount of time.
In the amount of time they said they could do it.
Well, I don't know about crop circles.
But the thing that bothers me is people have claimed to be abducted by aliens and stuff like that, and like the Twilight Zone, which, I mean, it's a movie, but, but there's no proof.
Well, I would say there's proof. I mean, the fact that those mounds and stuff exist prove that somebody made it.
Yeah.
And it was made by some. I mean, that's all we can say. We don't know. We don't have enough information to say who did it or when. We might have some information as to approximately when they did it.
It's same with the Egyptian pyramids.
We can estimate when they, both from either from a biblical record or from historical records. We can approximate when they were. Some of the stuff they think they can do to a certain point, but. Obviously, like I said, the fact that they were made, somebody had to make them. And,
well, some people say, well, how could somebody possibly make those straight cuts? Like, because they're so perfect that most of them, even still to today, are watertight.
Yeah.
And they've showed ideas of maybe a giant saw blade that would be ran off of the water.
Yeah.
But
well, put it this way: just because somebody today doesn't know how somebody back then could have or did do something, doesn't mean they couldn't do it. You know, I mean, we have the idea that we live in a modern world where if we don't know how to do it today, nobody ever knew how to do it. Well, obviously back then somebody could have known how to do certain things that we don't know how to do today. So I mean that possibility does exist.
See, what I'm wondering is how would the information of something that catastrophic be lost between now and then?
Well, there's a possibility of the Great Flood.
The Great Flood.
The Great Flood in the Bible has been proven. I mean, they've got sediment, soil, and water layers that they've proven that said, hey, at this point in the Earth's crust, there was a flood there, by the sediment and all stuff. Yeah. So a lot of that could have been lost by that society that was, everybody that was lost before that time.
The Great Pyramids were created in the middle kingdom of the 3 kingdoms of Egypt. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not happy.
I don't remember if it was middle or late kingdom. Now, the flood was in BC.
Yeah, obviously.
And the pyramids were made in 80.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work that they were lost in the flood?
What? The
information. Because it was after the flood.
Well, I mean, a lot of times during wars and stuff, people would, when they overthrew governments and stuff, they would destroy libraries. I mean, that's been recorded time and time again, where conquering nations come in. One of the first things they do is destroy all the records, like the equivalent of our modern day library.
Yes, but they wouldn't do something like that with the information on how to create the pyramids, because they'd want to find out how they did it so they could do it themselves.
Well, not necessarily.
But the pyramids were such a great work that why would somebody want to get rid of that knowledge?
Because not everybody is concerned with knowledge. I mean, if you're a general, you don't know. Yeah, today we think, if we were going to conquer some nation, we'd want to gain all their information. But not everybody thinks on the way of, I want to gain. I don't know. Some people are just going, you know what? I want to kill these guys. I want to kill them dead. Burn their civilization. Burn their religion. Burn their facts. Just get rid of them. And I think that's probably a lot of times in history that's what's happened. They've had people in charge of armies that have just come in and said, get rid of everybody. Get rid of everything that was part of them. Get rid of. Burn their buildings. Burn the people. Pillage the houses. If you can find gold and silver, let's keep that. But let's get rid of everything else. And I think that's happened time and time again in different civilizations.
It's very true. Surprising, but true. It's just weird how something that big can be lost. But, I mean, you gotta think about it. According to the way that we look at the pyramids now, how they would have had to have been built, if they didn't have any special machines to do it, which they've tested it, the rocks, that size, some of those rocks that they used were the size of several school buses.
Yeah.
And modern day cranes, it would take 10 to 20 modern day cranes, the big ones, to pick up those rocks. And they're saying that with the men that supposedly they've used, it took 70 years to create one of the Great Pyramids.
Yeah.
And 70 years, that could be several governments.
Well, you got to realize though the ruling classes in those times, or the majority of them, was about 1% of the people. The upper class people were probably, give or take, let's just say 10%, and the majority of the people were either general people, just general people, or slaves. So when you've got a general population that's say 40 or 50% slaves, and they can't, that's what they're forced into. And you got approximately 1% telling those 50% what to do. You can get a lot of stuff done. And right or wrong, you can get stuff done.
But another thing that I'm thinking of is 70 years. Now, maybe now 70 years is an average lifespan. But then 50 years was a pretty long lifespan, and that was after like the really long lifespans of biblical times.
Yeah.
But it was before modern science too, so it was kind of that in-between time. But that would be enough time. 70 years would be like several pharaohs.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think, I mean, from what I know of that time period, they, they just kept building. Knowing that the one pyramid would be built for one person. I mean, the pyramid they were constructing during their lifetime would maybe be for a parent or a grandparent, or maybe for a child or a not necessarily being built for them. And I'm sure they were building more than one at a time. So,
yeah.
So I mean the fact was they were just building pyramids, as many as they could. With what they had to work with. Not necessarily. Well, more like, I mean, they knew that hey, they had to bury so many people, and they had people that were going to be coming. So I mean, that's how they probably went about going about and doing it.
Well, I think that's about wraps this video up. It's about 11 minutes long, and your battery says it's dead. So